Newsnight has learnt that a trail of money used to bankroll bin Laden supporters leads to London. We've discovered that cash fed through to a cell of suspected Islamic extremists in Italy apparently came from a London bank account, and an Italian magistrate has told us that the information he's received suggests London is a key centre for bin Laden supporters. They may not have played a direct part in what happened in the US, but they could well have provided logistical assistance, as Richard Watson now reports.
These were the scenes that led America to launch a cruise missile attack in 1998 against Osama bin Laden, after savage bombs at US embassies in Tanzania and Kenya left 224 dead. The coordinated nature of the attacks was the first clear evidence of the deadly precision planning which led to the carnage in Washington and New York. As the FBI back then scoured the world for clues, many of the leads were chased to London. A year later, a business card was found in the car of a bin Laden sympathiser abroad, linking him to a man living here in London. When the Metropolitan Police's anti-terrorist squad raided in February, they found propaganda and recruitment material, 100 black berets, a telescopic rifle sight, a clutch of forged European passports, large sums of cash and a credit card duplicating machine. This is the Earls Ferry estate in central London. For some time, it was the home to 37-year-old Abu Doha, who's been himself linked to the terrorist organisation the GIA from Algeria. Abu Doha has been indicted in the United States on several counts of terrorism, including a failed plan to blow up LA Airport during the Millennium celebrations. Newsnight has learned that Abu Doha, as well as other prominent members of bin Laden supporters in the capital, have links with alleged terrorist cells across Europe. Varese in the Italian Lake District, just 10 kilometres from the Swiss border. This region was the base for a cell of bin Laden supporters, providing vital logistical backup to terrorists. If the fight against global terrorism is to be successful, then this kind of operation, with tentacles leading back into the UK, must be identified and closed down.
We have a telephone conversation and we have evidence of the presence in Italy of some person that we know are usually in Great Britain, and we received evidence from German about the relationship between that cell and the British cells. I'm afraid that London is a very important area where these persons can have support.
This is the small nondescript town of Gallarate, about 30 kilometres north of Milan. It was the chosen base for a group of suspected terrorists linked to Osama bin Laden, and the focus for an international police investigation lasting more than a year. 5 months ago, well before the Washington and New York attack, 5 men from Tunisia and Algeria were arrested here in the town. We've come here and spoken to Italy's top-secret special branch, who agreed to brief us on the case on condition of absolute anonymity.
It's an area between...
2 officers showed us where the terrorist cell was operating. Both men play crucial roles in undercover work, monitoring up to 30 people who pass through the cell. It was raided 5 months ago. They've never spoken about their work before and are in fear for their lives. They refuse to stop the car outside in case the apartment is being watched.
Yeah, number 3.
Yes.
The apartment was frequently visited by immigrants from North Africa, mostly from Algeria and Tunisia and Morocco, but also from the Middle East. We put it under surveillance, and this evidence led to a search warrant being issued. We found clear evidence that the flat was being used for illegal immigration and the recruitment of people for combat training.
Yes, on the 3rd floor.
Right.
You see
After the special branch officers parked a discreet distance away, we returned to the house with a local journalist who's followed the Italian investigation.
And started to search inside the clandestine.
As we waited outside, the suspect's next-door neighbour emerged and agreed to let us in. Those working in the Italian cell were living on the 3rd floor. They were sleeping on camp beds, up to 10 in the apartment at any one time, police said. What did you notice about people coming to this flat? Did they come here in the evenings, in the mornings? Was there
Cosa avevi notato dalla gente che veniva qui? Arrivavano al mattino, alla sera?
Tutte le ore del giorno, anche la notte.
All day long.
They used to come all day long?
In the earth of the night too.
And did lots of people come?
Tanta gente.
Tanta, sì.
Yes, a lot of people.
The policemen found, always in the apartment, some maps with the paths to reach Chechnya and the battlefields of Chechnya. Was very, 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 very closed maps, and they looks like military maps.
So in your view, do you think these maps were intended to help people who wanted to go and fight?
The police think so.
As well as the battlefield maps of Chechnya, where bin Laden supporters believe they're engaged in a holy war, recruitment material, details of terrorist training and evidence of false documents were also found in the raid. The arrests were part of a coordinated Europe-wide operation, which uncovered suspected terrorist cells in Frankfurt, Brussels, Paris and London. 18 arrests were made, including 10 in the UK. In Italy, 5 Tunisians and Algerians were arrested and charged under a United Nations protocol, which makes it illegal to recruit for mercenary activity or terrorist campaigns, or to provide funding. 17 other suspects fled Italy, 1 travelled to Belgium and 3 entered the UK. The Italian authorities told Newsnight their investigation is being stymied because neither Britain nor Belgium has signed up to the UN protocol, and extradition is difficult. Many of the leads from Italy and elsewhere go directly back to London. In Italy, more evidence of the bin Laden connections is still emerging. Intercepted communications revealed that the members of the Milan cell had been in regular contact with several known bin Laden supporters in London, including Abu Doha, the man indicted for the Los Angeles bomb plot by the Americans. But most intriguingly, there were transfers of thousands of pounds to a front company run by the cell, which in fact did absolutely no business at all.
We have evidence of the transfer of money between Italy and bank accounts in England, more specifically London, and between other countries and cities.
Sources close to Italy's special branch department told Newsnight that hundreds of thousands of US dollars flowed into the suspected terrorist bank account in Milan, from other accounts held in Switzerland and here in London. The prime suspect is Barclays' account here in Notting Hill Gate, run by a man called Khalid al-Fawwaz. Fawwaz's Barclays account was frozen yesterday. Tens of thousands of pounds flowed through it before it became inactive 3 years ago. But if the Italians are right, then other accounts in the city may still exist. But Fawwaz, who lived here in northwest London, is alleged to have provided support networks for terrorists linked to bin Laden. He set up the Advice and Reformation Committee, an organisation which police believe was a front for bin Laden's terrorist organisation al-Qeada. When anti-terrorist police raided his office, they found a fax dating from 1994, in which bin Laden himself gives Fawwaz instructions to set up the London base. And American prosecutors allege that Fawwaz bought airtime for bin Laden's satellite phone. Fawwaz and 2 others are in prison appealing extradition to the United States. They deny links to bin Laden and all the charges. Today, European governments approved 37 proposals aimed at stopping terrorist groups from operating in the EU and at cutting the time for extradition. Fawwaz's case has already taken 3 years. There'll be a new common definition of terrorist crimes and extra monitoring of banks. But police sources expressed surprise that Britain, unlike Italy, has so far failed to ratify the UN Convention, which makes funding terrorists abroad illegal. Only after the horrific American attack, it seems, has shutting down European terrorist sleeper cells become a major priority.
Was Richard Watson reporting?